You're listening to Just a Dude podcast with your host, Nathan. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Let's roll. Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to Just a Dude in the News on Just a Dude podcast. I'm your host, Nathan, just a regular guy trying to make sense of the wild world out there. It's August 1st, 2025, and we're diving into the top 10 news stories that shook the United States from July 25th to today. From natural disasters to policy shifts, we've got a lot to unpack. So grab a coffee, kick back, and let's get into it. These stories are straight from the headlines, and I'm keeping it real, laid back, and professional with just a touch of that common sense vibe. Ready? Let's roll. All right, folks, let's start with a big one, literally. On July 30th, a massive earthquake rocked the West Coast, prompting tsunami warnings from California all the way to Alaska. This thing was no joke, with reports saying it hit hard enough to shake buildings and send folks running for higher ground. The epicenter was off the coast, and while the damage is still being assessed, early reports suggest coastal areas took a hit with flooding and power outages. No major casualties reported yet, but the scare was real. Now, scientists are saying this quake was a wake-up call. The West Coast sits on some gnarly fault lines, and while we've got fancy tech to predict these things, Mother Nature still calls the shots. The National Earthquake Information Center said the quake's magnitude was so strong that it triggered those tsunami alerts. But thankfully, the waves weren't as bad as we feared. Still, it's got folks talking about preparedness, especially in places like San Francisco and Seattle, where a big one could do some serious damage. Social media was buzzing with videos of swaying streetlights and rattled grocery store shelves. Emergency crews worked overtime to clear debris and check on infrastructure like bridges and highways. The Navy also stepped up, saying they'd keep sharing data with hurricane forecasters, which is clutch since they almost pulled the plug on that. It's a reminder that when nature flexes, we've got to be ready. For now, the focus is on recovery and making sure folks in affected areas have what they need. If you're out west, maybe double-check that earthquake kit. Batteries, water, some canned goods, you know the drill. We'll keep an eye on this one, but man, it's a humbling reminder that the ground beneath us isn't always as solid as we think. Next up, let's talk trade. President Trump signed an executive order this week slapping 25% tariffs on goods from Canada and Mexico, and bumping up tariffs on Chinese imports to 20%. This kicked off on July 25th, and man, it's got everyone from truckers to economists in a tizzy. Canada's Prime Minister fired back, saying they'll hit American goods with their own 25% tariffs. China's not thrilled either, talking about taking it to the World Trade Organization. The idea behind the tariffs, from what the White House says, is to boost American manufacturing and protect jobs here at home. It's a classic America First move, and supporters are saying it's about time we stopped letting other countries undercut our workers. But critics are warning this could jack up prices for everything from avocados to car parts. You know how it goes. When trade gets messy, it's the regular folks at the store who really feel the pinch. Social media is split on this one. Some posts are cheering Trump for sticking it to foreign competitors, while others are worried about their grocery bills. Businesses are already scrambling, with reports of supply chain hiccups. The Dallas-Fort Worth area, already dealing with storm chaos, isn't loving the idea of pricier goods right now. It's a bold play, and whether it's a win for the U.S. economy or a headache for consumers, we'll see how it shakes out. For now, the administration's doubling down, with Trump saying these tariffs are just the start. He's also eyeing tariffs on Brazil and a handful of other countries starting today, August 1st. My take? I get wanting to protect American jobs, but let's hope this doesn't turn into a trade war that leaves us all paying more for our tacos and TVs. Stay tuned on this one, folks. All right, this one's heavy. On July 28th, a gunman opened fire outside the Grand Sierra Resort, the biggest casino in Reno, Nevada. 3 people lost their lives and 3 others were injured before police took the suspect down and arrested him. It's another gut punch for a country that's seen way too many of these lately. The shooter's motive isn't clear yet, but authorities are digging into it. This tragedy hit hard, especially coming so soon after another shooting in Manhattan that left 4 dead. Folks in Reno are shaken, and you can feel the frustration in the air. Social media is full of people mourning, but also arguing about what's gotta change. Some are calling for tougher gun laws, while others say it's about enforcing the ones we've got and focusing on mental health. It's a messy debate, and no one's got an easy answer. The police response was quick, and they're getting praise for stopping the situation from getting worse. But for the families of the victims, that's cold comfort. Community leaders are planning vigils, and there's talk of setting up funds to help those affected. It's a small city, so this hits close to home for a lot of folks. Look, I'm just a dude, but it feels like we're stuck in a loop with these stories. I lean toward giving law-abiding folks their Second Amendment rights, but man, something's got to give to keep these tragedies from piling up. Let's hope Reno finds some peace and the investigation gives us some clarity. Our hearts are definitely with the victims and the families in Reno. Up next, Mother Nature's been relentless this week. Central Texas got slammed with floods that started in early July and continued into this week. Heavy rains triggered flash flood warnings, and emergency crews had to pause their search for missing folks because more rain was coming down. Over 130 people have died in these floods earlier this month, so this is a truly big deal. The Texas legislature is holding a special session to figure out how to better prep for disasters like this. They're looking at everything from early warning systems to infrastructure upgrades. Kerrville, Texas was one of the hardest hit spots, and locals are still picking up the pieces. Social media's got stories of neighbors helping neighbors, which is the kind of thing that keeps you hopeful. These floods have wrecked homes, businesses, roads, and families. The Guadalupe River's been a monster, and emergency crews are stretched thin. Governor Abbott's been vocal about getting federal aid, but some folks are frustrated it's not moving faster. You can't help but feel for the families waiting for news about their loved ones while the rain just keeps coming. If you're in Texas, stay safe and keep an eye on those weather alerts. For the rest of us, it's a reminder to support those in need, whether it's donating to relief funds or just spreading the word. Texas is tough, but this is testing even their grit. Let's hope the skies clear up and the recovery kicks into high gear soon. All right, let's lighten it up a bit. Not too much, though. On July 31st, Trump Mobile, a new Trump-branded mobile service provider, launched with a lot of hype. But here's the kicker. When folks called the customer support line, they got Omega Auto Care answered instead. Yeah, you heard that right. Social media had a field day, with some calling it a classic Trump branding move and others wondering if it's a sign of a deeper issue. The idea is simple. A telecom company with Trump's name on it, promising better service and America First vibes. Supporters are pumped, saying it's another way to stick it to the big telecom giants. But critics are pointing out the shaky start and questioning how serious this venture really is. Reuters reported the mix-up, and it's got people wondering if the launch was rushed. Now, I'm all for shaking up industries, and competition's really a good thing. But you've got to get the basics right, like making sure your customer service line doesn't sound like it's selling car warranties. The White House hasn't commented much, but Trump's team says they're sorting it out. It's a bold move, and whether it's a hit or a flop, it's definitely got people talking. For now, if you're signing up for Trump Mobile, maybe double-check who's answering the phone. It's early days, and I'm curious to see if this becomes a legit player or just another headline. What do you guys think? Hit me up on social media and let me know your thoughts on Trump Mobile. Now, back to some tough news. Back on July 28th, a gunman walked into a Manhattan office building and opened fire, killing 4 people. Authorities have identified the shooter, but they're still piecing together why it happened. This one hit close to home for a lot of folks, especially with New York already dealing with storms dumping 5 inches of rain in Queens. The NYPD was quick on the scene, and they're saying it doesn't look like a random act, but they're not spilling details just yet. Social media's got people sharing prayers for the victims and frustration about safety in the city. Some are pointing fingers at lax security in the office buildings, while others are just grieving for lives lost. This kind of violence shakes you up, especially in a place like Manhattan, where folks are just trying to do their jobs. The mayor's office is talking about boosting security measures, but that's a tough sell when budgets are tight. For now, the focus is on supporting victims' families and figuring out what went wrong. I'll be honest, it's hard to wrap your head around these stories. You want to believe your workplace is safe, but then something like this happens. Let's keep the victims in our thoughts and hope the investigation brings some answers. Stay safe out there, folks. Immigration's back in the headlines again, and it's a hot one. On July 29th, attorneys filed lawsuits against the Trump administration's new policy of denying bail to folks in the U.S. illegally. The policy's part of a broader crackdown, and it's already affecting tens of thousands of non-citizens and their families. The administration says it's about enforcing the law, but critics argue it's too harsh and ignores due process. The policy treats all immigrants the same, regardless of their situation, which has some legal experts crying foul. They say it misinterprets existing law and could clog up the courts. Social media's got folks on both sides, some saying it's about time we got tough on illegal immigrations, others calling it a humanitarian disaster. It's a classic divide and no one's budging. Meanwhile, immigration raids in California at places like Glass House marijuana farms led to clashes with protesters. Tear gas got deployed and the National Guard was called in. It's messy and it's got people worried about where this is headed. The administration's standing firm, saying it's about national security and the rule of law. Look, I get the need for borders and laws, but you gotta wonder about the human cost here. Families are caught in the middle, and the legal battles are just getting started. This one's gonna be a long fight, so keep an eye on it. What's your take? Let's keep this conversation going. Next, the Department of Justice has been making waves, firing hundreds of employees this year as part of a major overhaul. On July 30th, the Senate confirmed Emil Bove, a former Trump lawyer, as a federal appeals court judge, despite some whistleblower complaints about his conduct at the DOJ. The move's part of a broader push to reshape the federal workforce. Supporters say it's about cleaning house and getting rid of bureaucrats who don't align with the administration's goals. Critics, though, are worried it's politicizing a department that's supposed to be about justice, not loyalty test. Social media's got some folks cheering the changes while others are calling it a power grab. The truth? Probably somewhere in the middle. But it's got people nervous. The DOJ's got a lot of power, from prosecuting crimes to shaping policy, so these changes matter. Bove's confirmation was a big win for the administration, but the whistleblower stuff isn't going away. It's a reminder that folks in charge can shift the system in big ways, and not everyone's thrilled about it. For now, the DOJ is moving forward, and we'll see how this plays out in the courtrooms and policy fights. I'm all for accountability, but you gotta hope the focus stays on justice, not just politics. What do you guys think about this one? Drop me a line on social media. We'll talk about it. All right, let's take a moment for a legend. On July 22nd, Ozzy Osbourne, the frontman of Black Sabbath, passed away at 76. And by July 30th, thousands were paying their respects. His funeral cortege in Birmingham, England, drew massive crowds. But here in the U.S., fans are feeling the loss just as hard. The guy was a rock icon, known for his wild antics and killer music. Ozzy's influence is everywhere, from metalheads to folks who just loved his reality TV days. Social media is flooded with tributes, with fans sharing clips of Crazy Train and stories of seeing him live. The guy bit the head off a bat, for crying out loud, and still made it to 76. That's a life lived loud. His passing has got folks reflecting on the power of music to bring people together. Black Sabbath's sound shaped heavy metal, and Ozzy's solo career kept the party going. From Los Angeles to New York, bars and radio stations are blasting his tunes in his honor. It's a sad day, but the guy's legacy is untouchable. Rest in peace, Ozzy. You were definitely one of a kind, and your music's going to keep rocking for generations. If you've got a favorite Ozzy story, share it with me on social media. Let's keep his spirit alive. All right, let's wrap it up with something a little lighter. On July 31st, the White House announced plans for a new 90,000-square-foot ballroom, costing about $200 million. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt showed off photos during a briefing, and it's got folks talking. Some see it as a bold move to spruce up the White House. Others are scratching their heads at the price tag. The idea is to create a space for big events, maybe to show off American hospitality. Supporters say it's a drop in the bucket compared to other federal spending and could boost D.C.'s economy. But critics are like, really? A ballroom? Now? Social media's got memes galore, with some joking it's going to be the fanciest party room ever. The White House says it's about long-term investment, not just a Trump thing. Still, it's a head-turner when folks are dealing with floods, tariffs, and all the rest. I'm all for a cool venue, but let's hope the priorities stay straight, you know? That's the plan for now. And we'll see if this ballroom becomes a reality or just a fancy idea. What do you think? Worth the cash or a bit much? Let me know what's up. I'm just glad that the taxpayers are not footing the bill, as private donors were announced as the financiers. All right, folks, that's our top 10 news stories from July 25th to August 1st, 2025. From earthquakes to tariffs to saying goodbye to a rock legend, it's been a wild week. Thanks for hanging out with me, Nathan, on Just a Dude in the News on Just a Dude Podcast. If you've got thoughts on these stories or something else on your mind, hit me up on social media or drop me an email. Keep it real, stay safe, and we'll catch you next time on Just a Dude Podcast.